Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lizzie, and it is that time of a year again. We are now in December, so we are going to be talking about horror Christmas films. I know that not everybody celebrates Christmas. Honestly, I'm not a religious person myself, so I really only celebrate it in the extent of Christmas gift giving, but there are a lot of Christmas horror films, and you know, 'tis the season, so that's what we're going to be doing this month. This is obviously the first video of many. If you would like to see the full list for every film that I have planned to review, that is actually up on my Patreon. There's a link in the description, or you can just go to patreon.com/carnagecandy with 2 I's, and yeah, you can check out the full list there. So for today's video, we are going to be talking about Christmas Evil. So this is a 1980s horror Christmas film. It is a film about a man who is obsessed with Santa, and throughout the year he keeps a list of all the boys and girls who have been naughty or nice, and one year he just snaps and goes on a killing spree. So I had not heard about this film before. It's actually available on Shudder, and I will be letting you guys know where I watch the films. Most of the films I did get off Shudder, but there's a few off Netflix and Hulu as well. This one I watched on Shudder. They do have a whole section with Christmas horror films on there, which I highly suggest checking out. And this one popped up, and I definitely thought it sounded very interesting. Maybe not super original today, but maybe more original for when it came out. I know there are a lot of Christmas horror films, especially from the 80s, with this killer Santa slasher style, but this one was definitely interesting. I will say there are a few things in this film that are a little bit uncomfortable, but again, it's an 80s film, and with the older films, I kind of try to look past those moments, just because, you know, obviously certain things were more acceptable back then, not so acceptable now, hopefully, but there's a few moments within the film that are like that, but it's really not too bad. Now, as far as the deaths go, it was a little disappointing. There's not a lot of kills in this film. There's about 2, maybe 3 scenes throughout the entire film, and they're definitely further in the film. There's a lot of build-up. There's a lot of character build-up for Harry, who is the man that we are following, and his backstory and his current life and what's kind of driving him towards this. You really are watching a man who just starts out weird, but he just over time builds up to this breaking point, and that's really what you're watching throughout the film. Most of the kills that there are done off screen. Again, understandable, it being an old film. A lot of times that's how they work, and because they're all done so pretty quickly, he really goes on a spree. They're not super original either, but that's okay. But it was still really good, and I did really enjoy it. I thought that it was different and definitely dark. I will say, towards the end, it starts to kind of drag on a while. The film's not super long. It's an hour and a half, which is kind of standard. But like I said, there's a lot of build-up and then a couple of kill scenes, and then they kind of drag out ending the film. And that bit's a bit slow as well. There is definitely a bit of a plot hole within the film. One of the things that Harry brings up every time he talks to his brother is his tune, and him trying to create his perfect tune through killing people, and it doesn't really make sense. But it doesn't make sense. There's no mention of it in Harry's backstory, so it doesn't really make sense for him to keep bringing it up. And that was one part that it just kind of bothered me a little, that didn't really make sense. But overall, I really enjoyed the film, and I think if you are a fan of 80s slashers, and especially if you like these kind of Santa slasher films, and you haven't seen this one, I highly suggest checking it out. And I will say, trigger warning for self-harm. It's very brief, you don't see much of it. and it's in the very beginning of the film, but also some child abuse, obviously some very negative language used towards children, as well as just some creepy moments, like I said, stuff that they could get away with in the 80s that they can't really get away with now. So just a warning for that within this film, but none of it's super graphic, none of it's over the top, really bad. But if you haven't seen this film, let me know what your thoughts are on it in the comments below. If you did enjoy this, please do give it a big old thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more Christmas horror content. And before we go, a quick shout out to my Patreons. Thank you guys so much for helping to contribute to the channel. If you want to know the perks to being a Patreon, links are in the description below, along with all of my other social media. And if you are someone who would like to make a donation, help out the channel, but you can't afford a monthly subscription, you can do a one-time donation on there as well. Or if you do want to do a monthly subscription, but you want to do a different amount, you can alter that as well. And obviously, I will give you certain benefits just depending on which price range you fall in line with. But I have everything starting from $1, $2, $5, so on and so forth. So if you can, check that out. And I will see you guys again later with another video. Bye!